No, it's being recorded. So you ready, Brooke?
I'm ready.
All right. All right, well, welcome to what is the July Historic District Board of Review meeting. We were supposed to have our meeting on the 24th of July, and unfortunately we didn't have a quorum, and so we are meeting the guidelines and having the July meeting on August 2nd. So that is the reason for the delay. So Brooke, are you ready to do roll call?
I am.
Okay.
Josh Wilbur,
Here?
Carol Ann Rogers,
Here.
Owen McCall,
Here.
Mike Pittman,
Here.
Sandy Palmer, Michael Zink,
Here.
and Ken McWilliams.
Here. All right, everyone should have received the minutes for June to review. Is there any questions, concerns, edits? Hearing none, I will.
I move we adopt the minutes as submitted. I second.
Brooke?
Ken McWilliams,
Approve.
Michael Zink,
Approve.
Mike Pittman,
Approve.
Owen McCall,
Approve.
Carol Ann Rogers,
Approve.
and Josh Wilbur.
Approved. All right, we'll get into our applications. We have two for this evening, and it looks like our first applicant is not here at this point, so we'll go to our second one to be first. So if you would the applicant come up to the podium and state your name and address for us.
Yes. Keith Bedford, 322 Mill Street, but
Can you turn your microphone on? There's a little-
Absolutely.
Yep, there you go, thank you.
Keith
All right.
Bedford, 322 Mill Street.
Okay,
Uh,
that's all right.
Okay.
Good. We'll stay with that.
Yep.
And then, Brooke, you want to go ahead and go through the summary?
Sure, absolutely. Alright, so this is a circa 1890 Gayville L/Folk Victorian. It is a contributing structure zoned historic district residential. The COA request is to add a 15 by 16 foot master bedroom addition on the rear. The foundation will be blocked with a stone facade as to match the existing. Also, we'll be using a reclaimed late 18 to 1900 brick for the exterior. We're using the existing original back door as well as the original window. And there have been some slight modifications that Keith and I discussed as far as they still are using the original door and window, but I believe there is going to be a new window for egress as well on this plan. So I will show you the different pictures I have. This is the existing rear of the building. The picture on the left is an example of the inspiration for an awning that they will be adding. The side window that is pictured on the right is the one that will be reused. A new window that it meets egress standards for fire code will be added as well. So you can see the site plan here. Elevation drawings showing the new addition with the new awning as well. And here. Floor plan. And that is all I have. So I will go back to this one unless you prefer something different.
Keith, you got anything to add?
Yeah, I just want to make sure, a couple things that have changed. The facing the street, which is where the awning is, it's a little different than the one that was in the picture. It's from Broadway, I think, on the duplexes there on Second Broadway that you guys had approved. Brooke and I, that was something we were looking for. The architecture of this one, this is more like what we're going to go with. You know, something a little bit more simple and clean. We think it's a little bit more fitting for this particular house. The other two things I want to mention is the egress windows you can see currently showing on the front side of that. We're actually putting that on the back side corner that you see that window in the end there on the back right corner. That smaller window will be the window that will be on the front, which is the original old window. So from the street, you will see both those two items, that the original existing wood windows and wood door that was always there at the house. We're just going to flip-flop those two on that side facing the street. So the newer egress window will not be on the side facing the street.
Keith, what's your relationship to the owner?
Just friends. I'm neighbors with Miss Chambers, and they're related to Miss Chambers, and I've done a lot of stuff for her over the years, so she's recommended me to help them.
What will the material of the new window be?
So I was talking to Brooke about it. Probably like I'm assuming like a wood clad. We're going to go with a nice window that would be. They're not going to spare any expenses to get a window that would fit nicely in that space. We only need to buy one in this case, so.
Wood clad, you mean aluminum clad?
Aluminum clad's what I meant, I
Aluminum
apologize.
clad.
Yeah,
Okay.
aluminum wood clad, yes, sorry.
The roofing material be the same, to match the rest of the house? or-
Well, so unfortunately, they wanna do a standing seam metal rather than shingles, on this old brick.
Okay.
I didn't figure it'd be a big problem with you guys, but that's what they wanna do. You know, if you guys have a different opinion or feeling or thought.
And when you say standing seam, you're not using that as a euphemism and really describing,
G-grid
like
metal.
hard metal with exposed fasteners.
No, be no exposed fastener, it'll be true standing seam metal, so, not old school metal, but I mean, it will be new standing seam snapped together, and it's a nice product.
It is, and just, maybe it's curiosity, but why do they want a different look on that roof compared to the rest of the house? It's,
Yeah, so as you see now, I think in the very first picture, it was old yellow, now it's old blue. So they were just tired, they wanted to mix it up, and they wanted to go back. There's a nice brick building just to the right of that that's been restored. They love that look. Then they love the stone look down the street that some of the new condos and the Canadas have that kind of incorporate all that as well as the stone that's on this foundation. So the feeling that I took from them was they wanted this almost to be, people to be tricked into thinking maybe this was the old structure and the new was added to the front. That was it was all their feelings, so we're going with it, so,
I got you, okay,
but that's what they asked for.
okay.
I wanna compliment you on all the drawings you submitted too, they're quite good.
Appreciate that.
Mr. Mefford, you had mentioned that you were going to use the old bricks, old recycled bricks, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you gonna do the entire outcropping that you're going to build, or is it gonna be all brick?
It's be all brick.
Oh,
That's what they want.
okay,
So the entire room addition will be brick, gable end, everything will be new brick. The old brick, I mean, will
Old
be
brick,
new.
yeah,
The new structure will be all brick.
thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Other questions from the board? Any questions from the audience, public? All right, hearing none, we're gonna go to our findings of fact on this, and Mike, you wanna go
Sure.
through this one?
Where possible, locate new additions at the rear so they have a minimal impact, which this does. I think it's interesting to putting on a new structure, making it look old, I think it's interesting. It's very nice too, it's got quite an addition. The overall proportions of new additions should be compatible with the existing, since it's in the back, it's smaller, it will be compatible. The design elements of the new addition should be compatible with the existing building materials. Well, this is kind of interesting because nothing really is compatible, well, it is compatible, but it's not consistent, so I think it's very compatible from that standpoint. Is that all we got? What?
Next slide.
Oh, I knew you'd get it. Additions should be constructed so they can be removed from the original building without future reversible damage, which I don't know why they would, but I think they can do that. It would definitely show a break between the original structure and the new addition, although like you said, they want to make it look like it's always been there, which I think it will. Vinyl, aluminum, pressed wood, again, are not appropriate, you're gonna use brick, that's not a consideration here. Wood windows are most appropriate since you're reusing the existing windows and adding aluminum wood clad that will fit in with our guidelines nicely. Roof lines to new additions should be similar in form, pitch, eave height. I think there's a little bit different roof pitch, but I think it's where it's sitting, it's similar, but it's not exactly the same.
Yeah.
Foundations should be similar or compatible, and again, this is gonna be interesting because it's not gonna be similar, it's gonna be similar but not, exactly the same. And consider consider in your plan older additions and other alterations to existing buildings that have acquired significant over time, which I think you have. I think it will definitely be able to tell that was a new addition.
Sure.
So I think it does meet our findings of fact, our guidelines.
Owen?
I agree for the same reasons.
Ken?
I agree, same reasons.
Mike?
I agree for the same reasons.
You're
Yes.
talking to me?
Yes.
I agree.
Thank you. My mind's And I agree for the same reasons as well. I do think that if we do make a motion, we probably ought to say something about the aluminum clad windows. I don't know that it's really spelled out in the materials.
It is not, since that was a change.
Okay.
Keith and I, or excuse me, Mr. Bedford and I had talked about, prior, that any changes that may be necessary could be made up until the board makes a motion.
Okay.
So that was not included in this, but, please do add that to your motion, or specify, as applied.
Okay.
And with this being an approved amendment to the application, I say approved amendment, with it being an amendment to the application, if the specification is made as applied or specifying that window, either one would take care of it.
I don't know if it's too late for me to ask a question to the board, but,
Good.
what we were really toying with and why this took up till the end, and we still, given the, conversations we've had leading up to this point, one of the big questions we had was whether or not to make it a French door to the exterior off that back wall or a window for egress, because they talked about putting, you know, a little sitting area back there, there's still room back in that backyard. The last landing point was a window, but, if I may ask the board, is it possible to get either or approval, or do you have to come back if you made that decision to go to a door, if it's still, not a vinyl door or anything like that?
I think you'd have to come back.
Okay.
If you're gonna make a change, like, cause we, you know, whatever we approve has gotta be whatever,
Okay,
we're
fair enough.
expecting on the final. So, so right now, what you're asking for right now is a window,
Yeah,
an aluminum clad, you know.
today it's a window, you know,
I
when you
know.
get framing and
But
I
if-
look at it like, man,
but
I
if
wish
they-
I would've put a door. I didn't know if I would have to come back to get the blessing for the door, or if that's something if you said, hey, we don't care which one you use, but it has to be of this product if you use it. I didn't know if you were allowed to do that or not.
Yeah, I think Brooke, I would believe that you'd have to come back for a change like that.
Not necessarily, if the board words it in the motion that it could either be a conforming door, and he and I can work on
You'd have to see.
approving that specific door. That's up to the board. You can approve it with conditions such as that. Or you can approve it for a window now. Because it would be a door opening, he would have to come back before the board for an amendment, for it to be a door.
Well, that's what I'm
So,
saying, that, you know, to go from a window to a door, I think you'd have to come back.
again, if the board chooses,
Yeah.
you can approve it with either or, and then staff can do a review of the door itself to make sure it's architecturally compatible with the materials and architectural stylings of the home. And you can use that as a condition of your motion.
Mr. Chair, I prefer that we'd say you'd have to come back, because I want to see what it looks like before I approve.
Michael, you feel the same way?
I have a question,
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Medford. Am I right to assume you're going to remove all of the, existing roof and replace it all with standing seam?
No, ma'am.
Just
The,
the roof?
the existing roof on the, house is all a newer asphalt shingle, dimensional asphalt shingle. So it does not need to be touched. We're not gonna be tying into that structure there. We're staying below the rear windows of the house, that upper window. It's kinda what's got it pitched down a little bit.
Okay.
So we're just tying into the gable end of the house, so we will not be attaching to any other roofing structure, or roofing materials. So that's why they wanted to go that, and that's just what they wanted to do. They love the sound of the whole idea is to be able to hear the sound of that.
Okay, thank you for that explanation.
Yes.
And back to the either or, when he starts building, if I understand how you build an addition like this, and all of a sudden, the missus says, I'd really rather have this door, he has to stop everything he's doing and come back to us, and it could be a week or two before we could okay that. And I don't see why she couldn't say, or you said they could come to you and you would make sure that it was conforming,
If the board approves either or,
either or.
with the condition that when they go to choose the specific door, that they would come to staff, then staff can do a staff review on that door if, with board approval with conditions. I would, and nothing against the applicant, I would urge the board that if you do the either or option, to put that condition that there must be staff approval, because otherwise the door could be something that would be totally incompatible with the structure. So that would be, it would be, again, up to the board, you could do either option on that.
I mean, if I may, I shouldn't have threw the curveball. I heard him say we're gonna get out of here really quick and early, and so it's my fault. I did this to you because they had a side deck going. The real thing for me is it was just the end case. I know how these things work. I tried to encourage the door because I think it's a nice space. That to them was just gonna end up being 4 doors on this house, and they're thinking about security, and so I just envisioned that coming up later, that they may wanted that, and I just didn't wanna be in a big 45-day or 50-day wait all over a door, that if we picked a door, it's gonna be a French door that would be, I know it will be conforming, and I have no problem getting with Brooke to get with you all and say, these are door, I mean, they're not gonna care, it's a door's a door to them, they wanna definitely make it work. If they're going through the trouble of stone and late 1800s, 1900s brick, and they're doing all the other things, and the 2 windows and the door to repurpose those things and utilize them, that's the whole goal of the whole project. They're not gonna go put a vinyl door from Lowe's in the back, slider in the back or something to make it, that wouldn't work, but I can appreciate the board's position. I just asked that maybe, if I didn't wanna have to come to that later and tell them the bad news that it didn't happen with a big delay.
Oh, we vote? Well, I mean, I just, kinda getting everybody's, I know these two have said they,
Well,
no.
I'm open to how the board feels.
Yeah, that's what I was, so,
I'm okay with this,
with adding a condition,
yeah.
Mike, Carolina, sounds like you are. Michael, you still know?
No, yeah, no.
The hard part for me, I think if you were going from a door to a window, it's probably easier for me, but the door is a bigger, it's a bigger change. And we don't really know what the door looks like, is it compatible with the house or not, we have nothing to go by on
Yeah,
a design
I agree.
feature, right?
Yeah.
And we've been very obstinate to doing that with other people without having drawings and having, that information in the past. I understand being open, and I understand the board wanting to be open on it and wanting to do it, because I know that obviously while you're building, you might wanna change stuff. But man, to me, when you're putting this in front of us to prove it, I would want the owners to understand, you're pretty much getting to the nitty gritty, you should have the detail down. And I think that's why you told them that, that, hey, let's get to this point, right? So, I mean, you've done your part for sure. So it's hard for me to say, yeah, I'm open to doing that now without having any real information on what that looks like, the placement, anything. I mean, I know it's gonna be on that side, but where and what does that look like, so. That's hard for me. So, I mean, right now I know what we have in front of us is certainly an application with the window and the aluminum clad.
I like the application as it is. I mean, I'm not saying, and I don't wanna make it sound like me not saying no about it. It really is about making sure that we are being very mindful of what we do,
If it means anything, I honestly, I'm not gonna care either way. I'm not gonna leave here and be like, golly, the guys on the left over here, never doing stuff on me. Folks to the right were really cool on buying.
I know.
So, it's not, it may not even come back up. I just wanted to know because I knew our backdrop conversations, and if I could save some time in the future and work with Brooke, I would have informed or done whatever, but if that's not something you guys typically do or don't feel comfortable doing, by no means do I wanna put,
We just don't have, I mean, to me, again, I'm not the one that gets to make all decision here, but we don't have a drawing with it, we don't have the material, we don't have a look, nothing, we can think in our minds, what a French door looks like, we can think in our minds what stuff like that is, but we don't have it.
I can show you the engineer drawing that they seen first. That's the first pick was a door. The architect drew it with the door on it, and then we took it off and went to a window.
But that's not the plan of what
I
actually
get it. No, I just was saying if you wanted to see what I was.
Sure.
But I'm good either way, guys,
Yeah.
really. Not gonna make
So,
it-
I mean, obviously, there's a few of us that not, and then there's some of you guys that are for it. I guess, I can't stop a motion from, happening either way, so, I think for sure we'll have a motion. So I'll entertain a motion.
So I'll do a motion for the current application, if
Is that what
someone
you're-
wants to do
yeah.
it either or. Okay. So, based on the preceding findings of fact, I move that the Madison Historic District Board Review grant the certificate of appropriateness to the Lindsays at 719 West Second Street to add a 15 by 16 master bedroom addition on the rear. Foundation will be blocked with stone facade. Also using reclaimed brick for the exterior. Also reusing the original back door as well as original window, and adding an aluminum clad window to meet fire code.
Did you say roof?
Oh, it wasn't in the application, so
Standing.
that was in
Standing
the
seam.
Yeah, and standing seam, not the evils that he hates. So, word that appropriate.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Brooke?
Josh Wolber,
Approved.
Mike Pittman,
Approved.
Michael Zink,
Approve.
Owen McCall,
Approve.
Kim McWilliams,
Approved.
and Carolyn Rogers.
Approve.
All right. We'll
Thank
get
you,
the
guys.
COA, well, thank you, Keith.
I appreciate it very much.
All right, our other application that we have on the docket for this evening is 712 East Main Street.
Thanks, guys.
No problem here. Could state your name and address for us.
Carrie Kemper, 712 East Main.
If you don't mind,
Sure, go.
there's a little button on the base of your mic, if you can hit that. There you go.
There you go.
Carrie Kemper, 712 East Main.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, Brooke, you wanna go with the summary?
Sure. This is circa 1838. It's a 2-3 double pile, with a federal, it's a contributing structure zoned historic district residential. The, COA request is to replace 3 wood windows on the second floor south alley side with vinyl windows. And this was a, photo of the structure prior to the window replacement. These are more photos.
I think those are the afters.
Yes, these are
That's
the afters.
Yeah.
And that is all I have.
The old ones were rotted out.
I will go back to, which photo does the board, would the board like, this one?
Yeah, I'll keep that one for now.
Okay.
Carrie, would you like to add anything you'd like the board to know?
Though I think these are the new ones. See, it's got
Those are the new ones?
Those are the new ones, cause it's got, see,
Yes,
it's got
these
the
are.
things on the top.
Mhm.
The old ones were really, rotted. That's the side where it gets all the weather, cause it's the side that faces the river. And, I mean, they were so rotted, I mean, you could almost push the glass and they would almost fall out of the frames. So it was a heating issue, and there, you can kinda see.
You can go up to it if you'd like.
Okay, you can see here where the paint is different. There was a big crack in here and it was causing water to get in, and it was around this middle window. So that's another reason they were replaced, and I replaced all this wood. It's kinda hard to see, but all this wood is all rotted. So all the wood was replaced with wood. It's just the actual windows that are vinyl, but this crack was fixed. I had to have a plaster, Old World plaster came in, they had to redo all the plaster on the inside because it was, flaking and bubbly from the water damage, and then this just gave it a better seal. And I also kept all the old windows, I have them, they're in my basement, I did not dispose of them, so I still have them too.
Okay. All right. Do you have any questions from the board on?
So do we have pictures of those old windows to be able to see how deteriorated they were?
Do you have the before, I thought you.
I have, I for sure have on my phone, but I gave them to you too,
Oh,
Brooke.
that's tough, yeah.
And that might be too, far away.
Those were part of the PACE application. Those were not included in the historic board. I can see if I can pull up your PACE application.
Oh, I submitted them to you too, the windows for this application, cause I submitted them on PACE, but then we talked about it and I needed them, so I submitted them for both.
Alright, let me,
But I can forward them it to you on email real quick. Alright, let me check my email, my email right now.
Seven twelve.
Thank you. So that's the one I have on the slide. I'm gonna go back through these and just make sure.
Here are the old ones, I'll forward these to you, Brooke.
Alright,
Yeah, these are the old ones. Okay.
that one. Are you sending it to my email?
I'm gonna forward it right now.
Okay.
Okay, just so. Cause these are zoomed in a little bit more on it, and it's still got the water damage on these as well, and the crack in the middle.
Alright, I just heard my phone go, so I should get that here in just a second.
It's also got a photo of the interior damage as well, and that, if you wanna see that too, where it leaked and it came through on my wall.
That's showing the crack. that you're
Yeah,
talking
that's the
about.
crack, and those are the old windows,
Okay.
and the wood, the rotted wood and everything.
When did you go for your PACE grant?
November.
November?
Oh. And they awarded you a base grant back then?
In November, yeah.
Without us approving first?
Well, no, I didn't have the windows in. I did, some of my other bids for PACE came in lower than the initial bids. So I did this in December. I was gonna do the windows anyway. And since some of my other bids came in lower, I tossed these in. I said, hey, I'm gonna add these. If you can do them, that's fine. If you can't, that's fine too. And then Nicole said, we need to get these approved if we're gonna add them into the PACE grant.
But I mean, they approved, the PACE committee approved you the PACE grant to do these windows
I didn't have the windows in the initial application.
in
Because-
November.
Right. What I was awarded, I was
What were you
approved.
awarded for then?
I was awarded for doing the front exterior painting. I have a potting shed in the back, all of the siding being replaced on that. It had a bunch of rotted siding, having that replaced, having that repainted, having tuck pointing, and I think that's it.
Okay, so they have not approved you any money for the windows.
Correct.
Okay.
Ms. Kemper, if I could ask you a question. I noticed you have a contractor here, Mr. Herford.
Yes.
Okay. When you decided you wanted to replace these windows, did you chat with him about that?
Yeah, he put them in.
He put them in?
Yeah.
Was he not aware that you needed to come here and?
He
show us-
didn't know I was gonna add them in the PACE grant, and I didn't either
No,
because.
we're not dealing with the PACE grant though, we're dealing with the historic review. And, it seems like a contractor should know that to replace anything on the outside of the building, that you kinda have to have permission to do that. It's a whole different thing than the PACE grant actually. And, I'm curious, I understand why you did it, but, that you did it and you saved the windows. Why did you save the windows if you weren't going to use them?
Because they were part of the structure and they were old, and anything that I use them for something else at a later date, or if ever, I don't know, I just always save anything that I take out.
Hmm.
Well, those windows do not look to me to be 80% deteriorated.
They were pretty deteriorated. And I had a lot of heat loss upstairs, heat and air loss from my air conditioning and my heat. So that's why, and because of that leak as well. That leak was really, it came in and it had damaged the middle one as well and all the wood around it. So it was, all that was all replaced.
Well, it certainly looks like they could have used reglazing, but the standard says 80% deteriorated, I don't see that at all.
Did you
What's
talk
the
about-
scale for determining the percentage? I mean, it's just like you saying you don't think it is and I say that I think it was, because I was the one living in the house and I was the one having the heat loss and the water damage, and I've spent a lot of money upgrading and fixing a lot of neglected maintenance on this property.
If I may answer that question, typically, I think you and I have spoken about this before, typically, if staff is notified prior to the replacement, typically what I do is, I go on site and I do an evaluation of the windows. Sometimes, oftentimes it involves me actually touching the physical parts of the window, to determine stability. In this case, that didn't happen, so.
Well, I could bring them in. I've got them.
I just wanted to answer what typically happens.
At what point when did you replace them?
December.
December.
The only thing I can see, and I understand replacing windows because most of us who live in the older homes have had that same problem. And there's several remedies to it. If it's not 80%, like the Abatron, which we know is used frequently around town, to replace wooden parts that are absolutely falling apart. Now, it doesn't take in consideration that they're single panes. I don't know that they were blown panes, they may not be quite that old to be that. But I can see why you did it, but I was wondering, why didn't you replace it with a wooden window?
Well, I'm also a builder, I'm a contractor myself, and I know that the vinyl windows, as far as heating, air, and things like that go, they are definitely more insulated, and that's what I'm going for, because upstairs in that unit, in that house, there's also issues with the HVAC that was done by a local contractor, where they didn't duct work a lot of my cold air returns, some of my vents. So I'm having issues with that as well. It's gonna cost me probably in the neighborhood of about $10,000 to fix. And I needed as much insulation on this as I possibly could in the meantime, until I can pay $10,000 to fix that. And I do know the property directly across the street, the two-family, they put vinyl windows in the front and they didn't get approval from anybody. And there's vinyl windows on both sides of that house.
But that doesn't make it right.
But if they can do it, then why can't I? I mean, they did it.
Because they didn't ask, and no one was standing there watching them do that. But it still doesn't make it right.
Well, at least mine's on the back.
Well, I think that probably our contractors should know better than that, and if you're a contractor, maybe you should have realized that as well. But I do understand why you did it, but I don't understand why you didn't replace them with like a 6/6, which the original windows are, instead of,
Cost and insulation. I mean, that's a lot more money and they're a lot less insulated. And like I said, I put a lot of money into this house. Preserving it, as we like in town.
Did you say a 6/6 versus your 4/4 is less insulated on a
I
vinyl
said
window?
this vinyl window that I put in is more insulated than a single pane that was like what was in there.
But a 6/6 vinyl, she's asking, the question was, why you didn't do a 6/6 to match what was already there.
I had someone come out and measure and had to get what would fit back in where it was. I had, the company where I bought them from come out to measure, and that's what I got, what they recommended.
I just wanted clarification that the insulation of a 6/6 vinyl replacement is gonna be the same as a 4/4.
Okay.
So restoration of those original wood windows and then a single pane or two pane storm over the outside would be very energy efficient. That's what we
I
like to
wanted to be
encourage.
able to open the windows, and when you put those storm windows on there, you have to climb up to take them down. And I wanted to be able to
You
open
can
the
open from the
windows.
inside, you can open them from the inside. They're all over town, lots of people do this.
The storm windows are connected on the outside.
They are, but that doesn't mean that you cannot operate them from the inside. You don't have to get one sheet of glass that then has to be put up or taken down with a ladder. You can have them put in where they have, are sashes, and they protect the wood window then.
Okay.
They're almost invisible, but then the original window would probably last another 100 years with the storms on the outside. And a lot of people have those all around town. That's what we like to see.
Any questions from the board? Questions, comments from the audience, public? Hearing none, Owen, you wanna go through findings of fact on this, please?
Okay, let's see. Retain and preserve historic windows, including all significant related elements such as frames, sashes, shutters, hardware, old glass sills, trim, and moldings. That was clearly not done in this case. Maintain existing historic windows where possible. Follow guidelines for wood or metal maintenance as relevant. Repair existing historic windows where possible rather than replacing entire window units. Use techniques such as wood epoxies and wood patches to repair and strengthen deteriorated wood elements. Replace only those elements that cannot be repaired. Reproduction glass is desirable but not required. So that again was not done in this case. Replace in kind, using replacement windows that match the existing historic elements as closely as possible. So that would be replacing a 6/6 with a 6/6, which was again not done here. If replacement is necessary, consider first replacing only the deteriorated element, such as a single sash, rather than the entire frame. Any new replacement windows shall match the original in all dimensions, materials, and detailing as closely as possible. Wood windows or alternative materials such as composite or aluminum clad with a baked enamel finish may be approvable. Some modern windows do not accurately resemble historic windows and may not be approvable by the HDBR. Replacing sash windows with siding or fixed light windows may not be approvable. New windows must match the originals in overall size and opening area and should have three-dimensional muntins with either true divided lights or simulated divided lights. These that she has put in have the internal muntins, which are not approved. Okay, snapping grills or grills between the glass, that's what I was just mentioning, are not appropriate for windows. New window openings, okay, we don't have any new window openings, so that doesn't apply.
Those are all the applicable guidelines.
Okay, so I would say, according to the guidelines, what has been done here already is absolutely not in line with the guidelines.
Ken,
I approve same reasons.
Mike,
I agree, same reasons.
Carol Ann?
I agree, but I have a caveat to that. Do I agree and give it the same?
We're not approving or not approving the
Okay,
project
I
right now, so
agree.
this is a matter of, do you agree with, first, he went through the findings of fact, do you
That
agree
it
with him
doesn't-
on what he went through on his findings of fact?
Okay,
Yeah,
then I agree.
okay.
And I agree for the same reason.
All right, at this point in time, we'll accept a motion.
Josh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Do you agree?
Oh,
or
sorry,
disagree with findings of fact?
I agree with what Owen has said too, on findings of fact. Thank you. So this point, we'll accept the motion on this project.
Okay, I have one. Based on the preceding findings of fact, I move that the Madison Historic District Board of Review deny a certificate of appropriateness to Carrie Kemper for the already installed windows located at 712 East Main Street.
Do we have a second?
I second.
All right, before we go through the process, if you approve, that means you are denying the project with your vote. If you deny, that means you would be approving the project. Does that make sense to everyone? So if you, going through this again, if you approve, that means you're denying. If you deny, it means you're actually approving. Okay? All right.
Carol Ann Rogers.
You had to make me first.
I can skip over. I can go to someone else. All right, Ken McWilliams.
Approve.
Owen McCall.
Approve.
Michael Zink.
Approve.
Mike Pittman.
Approve.
Carol Ann Rogers.
I deny.
And Josh Wolver.
Approved. So it means your COA for this project has been denied. You will not get a COA for the project. If you do change anything with this, you know, you can always come back.
I will not change it, and I will make sure I get photos of other people who have put in vinyl windows and see what you think about that, because like I said, people put them on the front of the building, and I mean, these are on the back. Good.
Well, and you also did it, you know, well before you come here in front of us, so. And I think the only reason you're in front of us is maybe because you're going for the pace grant, trying to get it.
That's right.
That's the unfortunate thing that
That's right, so
we're
they can
trying to
deny
avoid us to
me,
begin with.
so they can deny my PACE grant and give the rest of the
No,
$100,000
that's nothing to do
to
with
other
us.
people. Yeah, I know what's going on with the PACE grant in town, and a lot of other people do too.
Okay.
Probably not very smart on election year.
We're not allowed.
Not running for office.
Other people are.
All right. So at this point in time, we have no more applications, and we are at old business. So under old business, we have the new staff approval guidelines that we
We
have
do.
to go through a second.
This is
review.
third.
Is
You
this
can
the
vote
third?
on it.
Is this the third?
We're ready to
This is
roll.
third. You
weren't
can vote
around.
on it.
Yeah, you've
today.
been gone.
I do have one question about it at this point. If someone comes to the staff and they are denied by the staff member, they still have the option then to come in front of the board.
Yes, that is basically their only option at that
Well,
point. So-
Okay, I just wanna make sure
yeah.
it still was an option.
Yeah, so let's just say hypothetically, if someone comes to staff with an application for vinyl windows,
Okay.
automatically, because it does not meet our guidelines, it would be denied by staff and forwarded to the board at that point.
Okay. I didn't know you guys even denied that. I mean, it just, you knew it was gonna come in front
I
of us.
do,
Okay.
I issue a denied COA from staff and then forward it to the board at that point, if they insist on a staff review. Most of the time, I can work through that and explain that I will not be able to approve this, I will not approve this.
Okay.
And we can funnel it then straight to the board. But, yeah, if they insist on staff review, then I do issue a denied COA.
My big thing is, you know, it may not, if you may be in a position, somebody else may be in the position, what I wanna make sure is there's a fair process, that whoever is the staff member, they still have an avenue, you know, in essence of appeal of the staff, you know.
They do, and I think to me, the most important factor on this is that it must abide by the guidelines.
Right.
So, for example, if we're discussing windows, I don't know if any of you have had a chance to walk by the Thomas Family Winery. The board approved for the fiberglass replacement windows. I believe it was late 21 or early 22. Anyway, those were just recently installed in the past month. I will say that from street level, the three-dimensional profile of the muntins, the massing of the windows, of the rails, the stiles, the sash as a whole, are impeccable. I mean, they are totally on point. Fiberglass being obviously a durable material. Those to me are a very good, and this is just my personal opinion, are a very good replacement alternative material. However, those are not approved in our guidelines. We specifically name wood or aluminum clad wood. So in that situation, that will always be a board decision because that is still an alternative material. So what I do like about the proposed approval guidelines is that regardless of who the person may be, or what that staff person's personal feelings on a substitute material may be, they still must go by the guidelines. And the board is the one in control of the guidelines. So I do believe that there are the appropriate stopgap measures there.
Good, thank you. Any other questions about the guidelines?
No, but can I explain why I denied, or is it not? No, I cannot, okay.
If you can turn your microphone on.
No, he said I can't talk about it.
She said that she won't explain why she denied the last application. I don't think that's a great idea.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
that application is done, so
Yeah.
let's not
All right,
rehash, please.
but thank you for wanting to. All right, so at this point, since this is the third one, then at this point then we can take a motion and,
Yes, as long as there's no other questions or comments, then the
Any
board can make a motion.
okay, so any other questions, comments from the board on the guidelines? Questions, comments from the audience? I gotta ask. No one is here. All right, so, hearing none, we'll accept the motion on the staff.
Mr. Chair, I move that the Madison Historic District Board of Review approve the new administrative review guide.
And I'll second.
Brooke,
Josh Wilbur,
approved?
Mike Pittman,
Approve.
Michael Zink,
Approve.
Owen McCall,
Approved.
Ken McWilliams,
Approved.
and Carolyn Rogers.
approved.
All right, got that done the second time this year.
Yay. I know, right?
They're trying to try.
Just had to go through the reprocessing. All right, any, new business?
The only thing I would mention is, I know Sandy Palmer is not here. She did sign up for the conference in Muncie next month. Well, yeah, we are in August, next month. We have one other CLG scholarship available, which means your expenses for the conference are paid for. I would urge any of you, if you have the opportunity to do so, please attend that conference. If not, later this month, I believe I sent out an email for free trainings through NAPC. If you need any trainings, please let me know. It's highly recommended that you get so many training hours per year. I'm always more than happy to supply you with videos if you can't attend live or anything like that.
Well, that was gonna be my question, because obviously I have to go to my job during the week, and most of these conferences are had during the week itself. So is there a way to get some of these recorded, and then I can show the attendance somehow through?
Yeah, like, great question. So with the NAPC, summer camp series that's
Mhm.
coming up later this month, you can register for that. It's a free, event right now.
Okay.
If you are unable to attend the live, you still get access to the recordings, and you still get your credits,
Okay,
for watching the recordings.
all right, that helps me, because I did not get that. So.
But guys, even if you can't, let's say you don't do NAPC or any of the other conferences, there are a lot of other wonderful training videos out there. If you've done that, just let me know. Hey, I watched an hour-long video with National Center for Preservation Technology and Training about this topic on this date, and the video was about an hour long. That counts. I mean, we can't do like, I watched Joe off of TikTok do a video. I mean, I can't do that, but you know, you're on video.
YouTube doesn't count.
YouTube counts.
All
It
right.
depends on the source, but YouTube can count.
Leave it to mine.
Or I can encourage you, you know what, do your Instagram or TikTok, train somebody else.
Yeah.
How many
Put your
hours,
videos
how
out
many
there.
hours do we need a person?
Typically, for our CLG, we recommend 9 to 12. Obviously, you're all volunteer, it's not a mandated thing. But, I mean, given the hours that you dedicate each year to coming to board meetings. You know, let's go with the minimum 9 hours a year,
Okay.
is what we ask, but it's certainly not required. Yes, ma'am?
Can you give me the date for that conference that, she's going to, Sandy?
Yes, I'm going as well, and I believe Nicole is going, so, yes, it's at, actually, I know the date, it's the day before my birthday, so September 18th is, I believe, when it starts. It's in Muncie this year, but I can forward the email to you, and, if you're interested, let me know, and we, like I said, we still have the one CLG scholarship, and CLG is our Certified Local Government Program. So we do still have that
Is it
one.
2 days?
It is, I believe it's from the 18th until the 20th or 21st. I can look that up and let you know specifically.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other new business? All right, you wanna go through your staff report?
All right, so, our July fast track applications, you can tell with the summer heat, work has not been as, busy as in the past. So we have Daryl Summers at 11 East First, replaced aluminum siding with LP Smart siding, replaced the west side non-historic door with a new wood half-light door, replaced the rear existing non-historic French doors with a new wood French doors, replaced existing non-historic windows with 6/6 aluminum clad wood windows. Teresa Hitchcock at 323 East Main installed a 4-foot by 4-foot wood sign at a right angle on the building. Jeff Matheny at 708 East Second Street installed full view storm doors and on front and front side door. Installed a fabric awning above the front door and in transom. And then Rachel Fox at 129 East Main Street installed vinyl signage on the front windows and installed polymetal sign at right angle on the front of building. This one was just approved a few days ago, so it has not been completed yet if you are out looking. But that one is for Betty Jeffries, just to clarify the address. All right, so our July 2022 COA review, Lyle and Michelle Pennington at 227 West Main Street installed signage on the front, on window and on front of building at right angle that has been completed. Catherine Burris at 410 West 2nd Street installed a privacy fence in the rear yard that has been completed. Sandy Bailey, 736 West 3rd Street, replaced vinyl shutters with wood shutters that was not completed. Scott Axline at 214 East 3rd Street to install a vinyl window on the 3rd floor that has been done. Elise Detmer at 104 East 3rd Street to replace a standing seam metal roof with an asphalt shingle roof that has been done. Raymond and Donna Godward at 513 West Main to replace the windows, doors, and steps on the rear porch addition that has been done. Riverfront Development at 120 plus East Vaughn to build a new viewing platform that is in progress, as I'm sure you've all seen. Kevin Watkins at 222 West 2nd Street to replace wood windows on the front with aluminum clad that has been done. Pamela Brown at 620 West Street, build a new front porch and rear 2-story addition. That has not been done, and in staff opinion, I have not seen anything for that project to have been classified as started. So I did issue a notice to the contractor and to the owner that the COA expiration date was approaching, and then I sent a second letter to let them know that had expired at this point. So if they want to come back, or if they want to do the porch, they will have to come back for a COA.
Is it the same with Sandy Bailey as well?
So in that situation, the applicant actually passed away shortly after the COA application, and her surviving spouse, her husband, decided not to. There were several components to the application, and so he decided to only do what was necessary to be able to list the house in the future.
Okay, it's understand.
Yeah. And then, let's see, we have Carl Atkins, 1016 West First Street to demolish the non-historic accessory building. That has been done. And then Todd Calvert at 1016 West Main Street to build a new rear addition and porch, and that is in progress. It's mostly done, but I marked it in progress because it has not been 100% completed. And then that is all I have.
All right, any questions from the board on staff? All right, hearing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Seconded.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Good job, everyone.
All right, I'm gonna go put the camera.
I didn't realize it was election.
Hey Bob, how are you? Good.
You did it?